Hello, folks, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto Byte. Today is Tuesday, January 11th, and we have plenty to talk about today. A few headlines to go over, as well as some interesting price action that we saw taking place last night, continuing into this morning. Lots to discuss. Before we do, though, CJ, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good, but I'm not doing as good as CZ, who Bloomberg published a report this morning that they just said he's one of the richest crypto CEOs, if not the richest, at an estimated net worth of 96 billion. But that actually excludes his crypto holdings. So, like, if you could imagine, he probably has 25, maybe 30% of all the BNB, if I had to guess, which is probably another 10 billion or so. But just really a lot. It really shows you how much wealth has been created when you kind of step back and look at figures not only like CZ, but also like, Sam Bankman-Fried, and a lot of other founders that, Brian Armstrong is another one of Coinbase, who have gone on and absorbed some of this wealth creation to become billionaires themselves. So just a lot of exponential growth going on, or that I guess has occurred in the industry. But interesting stuff. Good for CZ though. I'm
Yeah,
happy for him.
it's that's pretty insane. When I saw that number, I mean, I was blown away. But then when I saw that it excluded his crypto holdings, I mean, that is staggering. He's always the type of guy who downplays his wealth. We were joking around that he, still drives like a Toyota Camry and stuff, like a 2006 Toyota Camry.
I think he had a tweet about it like maybe a year ago or so when he's like, I don't drive a Lambo or something, and he posted a picture of like some dented up Toyota or something. But you know,
Well,
um,
yeah, I mean that estimate is based on the growth that Binance has seen over the past year. Obviously one of the most popular crypto exchanges in the world, and CJ, that kind of ties in with another thing that we've been talking a lot about, and that is these various exchanges exploding in popularity. I know one that you've been exploring a lot is KuCoin. Any thoughts on these retail-facing exchanges and what role they're playing here in the current space?
I mean, they're definitely onboarding a lot of users. There's been a lot of really interesting stories over the bull market with certain individuals emerging with various leverage trading platforms. I mean, I don't really have much to say about them. They kind of just copied the BitMEX groundwork, but then employed a lot of interesting futures contracts as well as 3x shorts. Just a lot of different ways that market participants can express their views as prices fluctuate here. So, we can talk more about that in the Doge of the day or whatnot. But why don't we get to some price and some news? Would you like to start us off, my friend?
Yeah, for sure. Let's start off with a little bit of what should we start off with here? I want to start off with this one headline about NFTs here, because we talked a lot about some prevailing trends in 2021. One of the undeniable emerging trends in 2021 was the popularity of NFTs, and a lot of people in the second half of the year, CJ, started to show concern that the growth of the NFT market was starting to slow down. I remember right when NFTs started to boom in August, there was immediately talks that this was a speculative bubble, that all of these would go to zero, that this was the classic signs of a very frothy market. But ultimately, NFTs actually have held up, and there's some interesting data in this report here from OpenSea sales. Now, obviously, NFTs go beyond OpenSea, but this is a good, just general insight into kind of the demand for NFTs on the world's largest NFT marketplace. As you can see, August was really the peak, and we started to decrease a little bit in September, October, and November. But December really came in strong. We saw strong interest in NFTs. I know, amongst our community, there's been a renewed interest in NFTs, whether it be just outright owning NFTs on Solana, or whether it be engaging in play to earn sort of games like DeFi Kingdoms and that sort of thing. It seems like NFTs have actually really picked up steam here in December and carried that into the new year here. So this is an important article beyond just the implications for the price of your NFTs. Think about the role that the NFT market played in the speculative value of chains like Solana, chains like AVAX, Luna. It really bolstered their value during a time when retail was strongly in this market, and I think it could again here. So when it comes to NFTs, it really increases network congestion because of the minting element, because of the purchasing element as well. So in terms of gauging network health, looking to NFT popularity is actually a very, very useful metric. So the fact that we're bouncing back in December is encouraging to me. Hopefully that continues into January. From what I'm seeing so far, I think it will be. So overall, that is rather encouraging. But CJ, what are we seeing in terms of some price action? Last night, I was watching one of your new favorite websites, Okotoki, which just has order book data from all the major exchanges. And it started to light up last night as we started to get some volatility. Pretty exciting stuff. What are you seeing in terms of Bitcoin's price action here today?
Yeah, it was interesting. I saw the largest retail order since I've been following it this week, which may not end up being that large of an order, but it was 7 million in like futures on Binance, long specifically. And then moreover, like a lot of 250K sell orders of either spot or futures. But yeah, I mean, really cool trade scanner, and that will definitely go crazy during like when Singapore and Tokyo and Hong Kong are all opening in the morning. A lot of volume coming in, and so you usually get some cool trades that come in. But in terms of price action, yeah, why don't we take a look at the Bitcoin chart and see where we're at? First of all, let's. I want to highlight one of our favorite individuals in the chat here. Let's go TD9s. Bob, you are absolutely right. There's a lot of TD9s going on right now, and so we will get into those.
That's always encouraging, especially when you've seen, such significant bearish momentum over the last week.
So
yeah,
we are breaking below 42K here. And if you look on the daily chart, you can see that we have flipped to a green one. So we haven't seen a red 9 on the daily. Typically, when we get a red 9 at the bottom of a downtrend, there's a pretty good chance that we've bottomed. So the criteria has not been met perfectly, but I think that definitely what the Fed has to say today, as well as CPI numbers and inflation statistics that come out tomorrow for December, are going to be very interesting. But I feel like there's just been a lot of fear and sell pressure leading up to those events. So perhaps it could end up leading into something like a sell the rumor, buy the news type event. But also, speaking to the TD9s, we do have one on the weekly, which is quite significant. And I will highlight this this TD9, but I also want to mention this particular tweet, namely about like this is the kind of the concept of the super cycle where Bitcoin is in a multi-year process of higher highs and higher lows. And so, is this just like a progression in a larger like super cycle if the S&P can recover? I think really the primary concern right now for crypto is just what happens in traditional markets. But, this is a quite interesting take. I mean, we are hitting a multi-year support level, and that is quite significant, especially when you get the TD buy 9s as well. So if we get some strength, I will be looking to continue the long bias. But it has been a beatdown for the bulls in the market over the past few weeks, undoubtedly.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that, CJ. But like you said, I think we are starting to see signs that this market wants to bounce. And one thing that you shared with me this morning, and that goes to what we were talking about last night with that order book volume and liquidations. This tweet does a great job of highlighting the Bybit longs and kind of the timing at which they entered the market. So as you could see, last night we were experiencing some heavy sell pressure, and as we bottomed, these longs were stacking up, and those really got wiped out in a very short period of time. So what was interesting was, we had this sort of relationship in Bitcoin's price action where, Bitcoin it looked like it wanted to bounce from those levels. It looked like it wanted to, climb a little bit higher there. But what happened was, we had so much liquidation sell pressure coming onto the market that, we really were kind of halted in its tracks. And I think that the technical formation that we're seeing here kind of reiterates that fact as well. We have these signs of supply absorption at these critical levels. These doji candles typically tell us that the trend wants to reverse. We have 4 of them in a row here. Also, like CJ pointed out, the TD sequential buy nine buy nine that is looming here. All of these things are signs that momentum could perhaps be reversing, and perhaps that leverage just got in a bit too early. That being said, that does tend to be what happens when we're approaching a market bottom. People want to try and snipe that bottom, buy the dip, and they'll go long with leverage at the bottom. That just ultimately ends up getting shaken out and kind of puts off the bounce for a little bit longer time. So I think that is contributing to why we're kind of lingering here. Also, like you said, CJ, fears within the traditional equity markets, I think, are still, somewhat there. Yesterday was a pretty scary day in most of the major indices. Obviously, we saw a nice bounce back in the Qs, but still fear and uncertainty right now in these markets. But ultimately, when you look at the Bitcoin chart, when you consider all the technical factors, the fact that we're retracing to a multi-year critical level, like you said, CJ, and the fact that we're seeing signs of dwindling bearish momentum, all tell me that the market wants this to be the bottom. Now, will it actually be the bottom? Tough to say. I think, like you said, CJ, we'll have to wait to see what happens in traditional equities later this week, with the CPI data coming out, inflation data coming out. But overall, it does really look like the bulls want to hold this 40K level in the interim here.
The market looks like it wants to bottom. Famous last words, right? And speaking to your points on Bybit, the reason why I do like this site that I will show is just the fact that, you can spread these order books out and you get an idea of the flow in the market. So a lot of times we can assume that like Bybit is a lot of retail leverage traders that have a tendency to get liquidated quite frequently. Whereas, you have FTX, also Bitstamp, that tend to be a little bit more nuanced, conservative, and just generally more right. So just interesting relationships to check out there. But, you can see that trade scanner as well that also helps out. One tweet that I want to mention that I know we're getting a little bit off topic, but, one of our favorite devs, pretty much one of the inventors of DeFi. Like, I think if you think about the two, like, beginning major individuals who had a huge impact on DeFi, it was Andre Cronje and Stani, who created Aave. So they've been doing a lot of work, or Andre specifically has been doing a lot of work in the Phantom ecosystem with Tomb Finance and a lot of others. But overall, they're sending off some final commits for these various projects within the Phantom ecosystem, which could be quite interesting because he is one of the most talented developers in the space. And I think he's a large reason why Phantom has seen such immense success throughout the last year or so. Whether that continues and the market can, trend bullish is a different thing. But Phantom has been the one of the assets that has remained somewhat resilient. Near Protocol as well has been doing decent and holding up in its channel. But yeah, I'll pass it back to you, Monty.
Yeah, no, those are great points, CJ. And you're completely right about Andre and his role in the history of DeFi. And I think that it makes sense that we have assets like Phantom and Near showing resilience. Specifically when you take a look at an asset like Phantom, it's continuing to see growth in terms of total value locked. People are continuing to lock away, money staking in the protocol. So to me, that tells you that some of this price action is more than speculative. That in fact it's being driven by these underlying market dynamics like total value lock. So very encouraged by that, but looking forward to doing a bit of a deeper dive into some of those assets on the Doge of the day. But I think that's all we got for today. Should be a really interesting day here. Like CJ said, the Fed Senate hearing, I think that's happening right now. Also, we got some pretty interesting consumer price data and inflation data coming out tomorrow. All of that could have an influence on the market. But as always, we'll be hanging out in the crypto community. If you guys would like to join us, you can try it for just $7 for the first week at the link right below me, marketrebellion.com/try crypto. We got a pro charting service, a 24/7 chat with a community of traders from all around the world. We have an extensive education curriculum with over 20 hours of content. We publish actionable trade insights with entries, exits, stop losses, and a whole lot more. So definitely head over there and check it out if you want to learn about crypto. But that's all we got. CJ, any parting words for our audience here before we sign off?
You know, I think the one thing that I've been doing a lot of reflecting, and the one thing that I think I could have done better this bull market was just be a little bit more flexible with the trend and kind of follow what the market kind of gives you, so to speak. This might sound familiar to you guys, or it might be relatable, perhaps not. But many times when we're looking in crypto, we see the market is like super obvious. Like the one that comes to mind is like Luna and AVAX, where you're looking at all the assets on CoinMarketCap or wherever you go, and that one asset is like speaking to you. It's like, it's me, I'm the one, pick me. And you're like, oh yes, I see it's you, but you've already pumped, so let me go into the abyss of assets that don't do anything. And many times there's a reason for why that one particular asset is pumping. So that's something that I think I could have improved on, and something that I'm going to focus on doing a better job at throughout the next trends that we experience. So hope you guys have a great day in the world wherever you are, and we'll see you next time.